Hey there everybody, it's Betsy from Story Drawing Skills, and as you know, I saw this video called You Should Make a Webcomic by Super Death Show, and I made the decision based on that video that I should make a webcomic. 100 panels of webcomic from scratch in 6 months. At the time this video is recorded, there are 53 days left and 74 panels left to go, which, as I mentioned in my last vlog, that's not really great. For schedule's sake, but that's okay. I'm just going to keep going. But I do think that maybe I should start plotting a plan B. Like, if I'm going to keep continuing, I have to ask myself, how long? Like, do I just continue to the end of the year and wherever the story stops, that's where it ends? I know from personal experience that I hate it when I find a comic that I super duper love and for whatever reason the artist has to stop doing pages. Like sometimes it's, for a year or two, sometimes it's just like forever. They just can't, finish the story. And it's just like, no, can't you just tell me what happened then if you're not going to finish it? So I know I would really, 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 really like to do the 100 panels. And even not so much the 100 panels, but just finish the story as I want it to be finished. Like, I have an idea of the ending, and so I want to get there. And it's not like this is a huge, graphic novel, feature film thing. It's, it's very doable, and I think I can get through it, but I just can't do it, before the end of the year. So, plan B. Is plan B going to mean that I just draw however many panels as I can until it's done? Or should I set a new goal? Like by, March 1st, should I get this done? Like, I'm not entirely sure about those details yet, or if it's going to set me up for failure once again, because I think part of being an artist, and, even just a creator in general, is you have to know your own procrastination pattern. And one of my procrastination patterns is that I will procrastinate until there's not enough time to finish it properly, and then just do whatever I can in the amount of time that I have left. So that kind of happened a little bit this time too, with this comic that at first I was on track, and then as soon as I started falling behind, I started, bringing out more copying and pasting. I started taking more shortcuts. I started, just doing whatever needed to be done to catch up instead of, sticking to my timetable and my drawing morals and all that good stuff. I don't know that that's necessarily a bad thing that, I'm copying and pasting and doing whatever I need to do to get the job done. But I do know that if I set myself another goal and just say okay, well now the deadline is March 1st, I will probably do the same thing. In my mind, I'll think, whoa, March 1st is a long time away. Because I'm sure that's what I thought in July. The end of the year is still, 6 months away. Surely I can do 100 panels in 6 months. But then, I spent a lot of time doing the concept art and all like that and blah, blah, blah. So that's what led to me running out of time and then having to just do whatever I needed to do to get these things done. Side note, you can see me doodling all kinds of different symbols. What the heck am I doing here? I am trying to figure out how I can do something reminiscent of, what is it? It's not coming to my mind. Like the Harry Potter symbol? Like one of them, not the lightning bolt, but the one that represents the Cloak of Invisibility and the Sorcerer's Stone and what's the last thing? The wand. So it's like a triangle, a circle, and a line. Is that it? And, oh my gosh, Harry Potter fans are going to be so mad at me. Anyway, the three elements that come together to make one full emblem. I'm sure J.K. Rowling didn't invent that, but that's, the example I'm going to use. I like that. That's what I'm trying to get to. I like that. I wanted to have these three magics be different and have different symbols, but also have a way for those three symbols to be put together. And that's what represents the Trium. The Trium report is, about the three magics. So I had to hurry up and design that because I wasn't sure if all of them would wear their emblem on their back the way that Socorro does. I ultimately decided no, because number one, Clarice's hair covers her back. So it would be kind of pointless to put her symbol underneath her hair. Nobody's ever going to see it. And then on Kes, she doesn't really have her back showing either. I mean, if I put it on her green underclothing, her half cloak and the strap of her bag covers it up, so you're not going to be able to see it anyway. I tried putting it on the back of her cloak collar, but that looked weird too. So I'm going to decide that Kes has her mark on her bag, which most of the time is covered because I think her personality and her backstory, which you guys don't know, but I do, is more of a cautious one and a secretive one. So she wouldn't be the kind to proudly display that she is, a magic user, where Socorro is very much proud and, willing to display that she can do transformative magics. So hers is going to, be proudly displayed on her back, where the other two, not so much. It's kind of like I'm sure you can pick up already from the pages that have been posted, that Socorro is like super thrilled to be out here doing this stuff, and the other two are just like, no, like, we're forced to do this, but we'd rather not. So that's going to carry through too in the way they display their emblems of what kind of magic that they use. So that was that little sidetrack. But yeah, what's going to happen to this project? I don't think I'm going to set another deadline. I think instead what's going to happen is I'm going to just continue to do as many panels as I can each week with these videos until I reach the end of the story. And that may take until March, it may take until next December, I don't really know, especially since in January I need to start looking for another job. I'm working part-time right now as an art teacher, but as many of you know, my paycheck gets like 99% eaten by my student loans. So I've been a pretty devout follower of the Dave Ramsey financial methods for, 2 or 3 years now? But the only thing I didn't follow his advice on was that, you get as many jobs as you need to get to pay off your debt. And mine was always, I'm working on building my business online. I was doing, workshops and, figuring out how I could use my art skills to help people online. And it was great and it was fulfilling, but I'm just not doing it in a way yet that is convenient to both the person taking my lessons and also a way that it can fit in my life. Because when I did my first workshop, oh my gosh, like I did nothing else. Like I had no life and like I cannot do this, repeatedly. So I got to figure out a way. So while I'm figuring that stuff out though, these student loans continue to eat up my paychecks. And so, I think I'm going to have to take Dave Ramsey's advice and do the whole, just work your butt off for however long it takes to get these loans out of the way and to not see any movies, to not buy any video games. I mean, to just really put all my energy and effort into paying off these student loans so that I can be free of them. Because honestly, once I'm free of those student loans, my part-time art teaching job would be enough. And it's very, very convenient to my schedule because I only have to work there like 2 days a week, sometimes 3. And the rest of the time I can be working on my videos and stuff and art lessons. So that's awesome. But like I say, these student loans keep eating up my paycheck. So I got to get rid of these student loans. And so that's going to probably happen in January. I'm going to have to start applying to just whatever retail and just whatever jobs are available in my area until I can pay those suckers off and then go back to forming my art lessons and stuff like that. Even this project, I feel like I've learned so much, and I feel like I could go back and tell myself all the things that I should have done before I started this. Like, it would make a pretty great guide for anybody looking to start a webcomic, and to just have that checklist. It's nice to be able to say, like, oh, have I done this? Have I done that? And just, be aware of the things that you're going to need that you think you might have figured out, but then you come to find out you didn't. Such as, their personalities and, their, the way they're going to speak and things like that. Like, I had none of that plotted out and just had to wing it as I go, and that put a lot of stress on me. Like, whatever I do in this moment, in this panel, like, that's the way it's going to be for the rest of this comic. And so that was probably not the best way to go about it. And I think it would make a really great little guide for anybody who wanted to start a webcomic. So if I ever have time to make that, I think that's another idea that I'd like to pursue. Because I'm sure there are people out there with great stories that they want to tell and fun characters, and everything. But it can be so hard to just sit yourself down and try to think of all the pieces in the big picture as well as focus on the one little piece that you have to do next. Yeah, it's really tough. Like, I even recently, because I was feeling down in the dumps and needed a little pick-me-up, there was this Korean program, like how to learn how to speak Korean, that I wanted to try out, but it was too expensive, way too expensive for me to afford. And then they had this deal that you could get the first 4 weeks for $1. So I'm like, all right, let's do this thing. And what I really wanted and really expected to have was just a step-by-step guide that if I committed, 30 minutes a day to whatever they were going to show me, that I would be able to learn to understand and speak Korean. Unfortunately, the way that they had advertised this program was not exactly what it was when I got it. Because their first little freebie lessons were super awesome. I mean, it was like, okay, we're going to teach you how to say some things that are very close to English words, just nouns, and we're going to teach you how to say how they exist and if they don't exist. And you could just say like, I have juice. I have water. And it's not anything amazing, but then when they taught you, okay, how to ask, is there water? And yes, there is, or no, there isn't. And then they taught how to say, could I please have water? And then because you knew this stuff, you could just like, wow, you felt like you were speaking Korean. It was like a really quick win, and it was awesome. So I thought that the entire program would be that way. But when I got my first lesson, it was not that way. It was very much like the textbooks that I'd already tried, where they just kind of give you random words. And it's like, okay, we're going to teach you how to say road and occupation and country and water and money. And I'm just like, what? What happened to, the application of these words? What happened to, being able to just start practicing how to speak it? Now all of a sudden I'm just memorizing words again. I could have done that, on my own. So that was a bit of a disappointment, but it made me see how some people must want their drawing instruction to be also. Because I imagine that if you only have a half an hour to draw every day, like you would like a very structured thing to tell you like, okay, well today you need to be able to, practice drawing blah, blah, blah. And then next time you're going to practice drawing this and you're going to practice drawing that. So that it made me see how taking a college approach to it like I did before, where I had this huge, 6-week thing, it just doesn't work as well as having a more of a, easily digestible, but then you can immediately apply it kind of a way. So that's really been giving me a lot of ideas about how I could help people draw their comics while not making it like a huge college course, that it could be something very easy that, like I say, you can do in like a half an hour a day. I mean, even though I spend probably these 4 hours of drawing in like 2 days because I don't schedule my time very well, like I probably could break it up into half-hour chunks because I do film it in half-hour chunks. So, yeah, I'm really excited to have what I've learned from this experience be able to help other people if I can present it properly. But, like I say, things are going to change in January. You might have to get some jobs, so that's a thing. So here's, one thing that I would include in my guide of like what I wish I had known before I started this webcomic. One of the story elements here, is that the shadow of an approaching enemy is going to, approach these girls from the back and cover them. And I had put the light source from the rift, that little glowing thing right there, and so it casts their shadows backwards. So there's no way for you to see the shadow of the approaching monster in the shadows that are already on the rock. So I had to go back and shade everything in the opposite direction so that the sun is at their back. And I think I'm going to go with my first gut instinct that magical glowing lines are not actually light sources. I did that with Kessa's ears, her rabbit ears in earlier pages as well. Like, I didn't make them a secondary light source. I just made them glow so that you knew that they were magical. So that's what's going to happen with this rift too. Like, it is not going to be a light source so that I can have, light at their back and you can see the approaching shadow. This could have been avoided if I had just done my lighting thumbnails first and had, planned things out a little better the first time around instead of having to draw all these shadows and then draw them all again. So that would certainly be something that I would plan in my next comic making adventure. Here I'm just putting in the shadows of, here we go. Now you can see that they are slowly getting covered by shadows like that. And then I think I accidentally drew on the wrong layer and I was like, man, I gotta go back and shade her all again. One of the things I also learned this time, I tried to merge my character flats and the background flats so that I could just do the shadows in one pass, but don't do that. You can't control it very well. Keep your shadows for your characters and your shadows for your background separate. At least that's what I'm going to tell myself in the future. I also wanted to have this feeling of doom come up by making the background black, so that's what that was all about. And of course, thank you to my patrons on Patreon, and if you are a patron, you get early access to videos and pages and concept art and stuff that other people don't get to see, so if you want to check that out, the link is in the description below. So like I say, since I'm going to be working on the sculpture next week, I may or may not have a very long vlog next week, but we'll leave that for next week. So until then, happy drawing.